In the matter of the people of the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson, case number BA096.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
And we are live and recording. Hi, Taylor. Happy Sunday. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Thank you. One of our, well, I don't know even know if you're really good friends with him, but a friend, I guess, of mine, Armagon. You remember Armagon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's visiting. He's staying here, and he is going to be cooking us up a vegan dish that he is really proud of. He said it's gonna be the best vegan food ever, apparently. So I'm
Sweet.
really excited about that.
I love vegan food.
Yeah, we don't really have much of it here in Austin.
Yes, you
But
do. Do you think that's true? My sister's a vegan and she lives there.
so there's two that I know of, which is Casa de Luz, and there's another restaurant. I can't remember the name. Bolden Creek, I think it's called. But you can always get something vegan at a restaurant here, but like dedicated vegan restaurants, the way like Cafe Gratitude we had in LA, it's not like that. But anyways,
I forgot. Oh, wait, let me introduce. Hold on. I'm doing like four things for no reason. Let me introduce us.
go for it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Doomed to Fail. We're the podcast that brings you history's most notorious disasters and epic failures twice a week. I am Taylor, joined by Fars. If you're just joining us for the first time, we have like 120 episodes. You can go back and binge and learn a lot. We've been learning a lot for the past year and a half. So
We've
glad
been
you're here.
learning a lot. And actually, this week was really exciting for me, Taylor, because I started researching. So I started researching a topic, then I found another topic, then I found another topic. Now I have like 14 different tabs
So
open.
jealous that you
Yeah,
have like all these
this
ideas. I have like a bunch of ideas, but I'm just like jealous that you are.
it never
doing that.
happens like that, for the record, just so you know. Like I never actually get that lucky. But I started researching one thing, I was like, oh my God, yeah, and then another thing, and then another thing. And now I have like 14 different half started outlines.
Jealous. That's awesome.
So
Before you start though,
medal
can we
count.
talk about the Olympics? Yes. Oh my God. Okay. I just had to pause to text my friend that I used to work with because he works at Figs, which is like the scrubs company. They make scrubs for like doctors.
Okay.
Um, and their Olympic ceremony commercials were so good. I cried during those. I cried all afternoon watching the closing ceremonies today. Did you watch them?
No.
Incredible. It was incredible. They were singing, there was dancing, everyone's there holding their medals, everyone's super proud. And then the mayor of Paris handed the Olympic flag to Karen Bass and the mayor of LA.
Oh.
And she had it, and then her and Simone Biles stood while the singer, Her, she sang the national anthem and she played electric guitar, and it was awesome. And then Tom Cruise comes from the top of the stadium. He zip lines down the stadium. He runs through the crowd. He grabs the Olympic flag from Karen Bass nicely. He takes it from her, hugs her, takes it, runs down, gets on a motorcycles out of the stadium. Then it goes to a video of him riding his motorcycle through Paris, getting on a plane. On the plane, he ties the flag to a parachute. Then he's in LA. He parachutes down to the Hollywood Hills. He's running through the Hollywood Hills. Then he covers the O's in Hollywood and adds three more. He personally covers them in fabric, so they're the Olympic rings now. And then they take the flag and put it on like a speed bicycle person's bike. She takes it down through LA. People start joining her. They go to the Coliseum. The skateboarder gold medal guy, he grabs it, he skates. Oh, they're in Venice Beach. Guess who's there? Red Hot Chili Peppers, Billie Eilish, Snoop is back, Dr. Dre's there. It was so exciting.
I feel like I don't need to see it actually
I
now.
was like, Florence was like, who's Dr. Dre? And I'm like, yeah, it was so good. It was such a great closing ceremony. It was so like the people who spoke, I'm so freaking jealous of people in Europe who speak like six languages, but like the people who spoke, were like, we know the Olympics can't bring peace, but this was a very peaceful thing, which was so wonderful. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy we went out without a hitch. Paralympics are next. I do want to have some highlights from those. Um, a couple of things just of note. We tied with China for the number of gold medals, but we have more medals in total. The men's basketball won the gold, and the women's basketball won the gold for the ninth time in a row. So
I mean, I
incredible.
don't know how the US doesn't win basketball every year ever.
Honestly, like a disgrace when they don't win it. And then another one kind of thing that is still up in the air. So a lot of the gymnastics was last week, and Jordan Childs, who is one of our female gymnasts, she got bronze in the floor, I think, or vault. Ooh, I don't remember, but whatever it was, she got it, and then she got it because her coaches like filed a motion against like the judging, but they did it 4 seconds too late, so they're taking it away from her. So like that's gonna like go to trial, whatever that means.
I don't even know what that means. Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, they had like a minute to challenge it, and they challenged it like a minute and 4 seconds. And so like there's like it's like very a whole picky thing. So we'll see where that goes. Um, the women runners ran the 400-meter relay and we got gold in that. That was super fun. So yeah, a lot of really fun things that kind of ended out. Oh, women's soccer got the gold, which is super exciting. Um, yeah, it was great.
I
I
I
loved it.
heard I heard that if Texas was a country, it had the sixth highest medal count.
I'm sure because it's huge.
Yeah. Well, yeah, fair,
And
fair.
like there's some countries where some people got like the first medal their country's ever had, which is so lovely, you
One
know?
thing that I did learn that was like really disgusting was that Iran was like there as like the athletes were there under like the generic Olympic refugee state
Hmm.
banner, and it was like, oh my God, these people turned Iran into like a refugee state in the it's like God, so
Yeah.
disappointing. But
Yeah, that's
um
I'm happy that they got there. Um, I'm just trying to think of what else was like super awesome and
I
inspiring.
did learn that breaking is no longer going to be a sport.
Oh, I'm so glad we're talking about this. Okay. So I think that people are like, oh, we knew it would just be an exhibition and just be like 1 year. Because I was also looking at like a list of sports and when they started, and like karate was in there only 1 year, which I think is weird. Like I feel like I don't know why I wouldn't be in there more, but like some things only have 1 year. Next time it's flag football is going to be in the Olympics. Um, but oh my God, that Australian woman, that Australian B girl. It was that's all I've done for the past 2 days is watch videos of her. Apparently she's like has her PhD in breakdancing
There's
and she's like an
something
academic.
so like patently offensive that like this thing that was rooted in like Brooklyn black culture, and then like this woman in Sydney, like it's just like, and I'm not even
Because
somebody who
there's women of people of all races who do it. The winner was Japanese. Like whatever.
I
I feel
know,
like
but they're
yes,
good
but
at
no,
it.
but
They
that woman
actually
did
were.
not deserve to be there.
I know, but they're good at it. Like they actually,
Yes.
what I'm saying is like they didn't treat it like a joke the way she did.
I just like some of the commentaries I just have laughed so hard. It is really wild that she was able to do that. But it was fun to watch because like, the MCs are all like yelling in French and everybody screaming and like, I don't know, it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, my Olympic consumption has been pretty limited this past week, so I missed all of it. I actually didn't even know today was the closing day, but I will watch it.
Did you see my reel when I did my artistic swimming thing?
Yes, I did see that.
I put that on our thing. We went, our friends have a pool and we it was went through it all day yesterday and it was so nice. And I was like, let's see if I can put my legs straight in the air. And the answer is no,
You could
which
make
is
the
expected.
Australian swim team.
I mean, like, no, I'm sure the Australians are real good swimmers. No, like even like Miles can't swim very much. He weighs like 50 pounds maybe. And so I would like have to jump into the deep end and like kind of like help him across. And that is really hard. Like I can't imagine
Yeah.
like having enough treading water to, a person who weighs probably like 100 pounds, but like to push them out of the water is wild. So
They're
yeah, super
athletes.
fun. I feel very emotionally drained after watching the closing ceremony.
Well,
I'm
hopefully this
like,
can bounce you back.
yes,
We'll get into
yes.
some fun topics today, and you can bounce back from the emotional withdrawal.
Emotional, yeah, trauma of just being a person who watches Olympics on TV. It's
So
been
proud of
hard for
you.
us. There's billions of us.
There's billions of us.
Billions.
Um,
All right, but you go. You're first, right?
I'm first, and I am going to do a series. I'm going to
Oh,
start a series. And again, like, has nothing to do with Doom to Fail. So forget the entire premise of what we're doing here as a show. So I'm going to start a 3-part series on an organization slash collection of individuals who have had one of the most like huge, tremendous, long-lasting impacts on society, technology, business, finances, politics, you name it. I am going to be covering the PayPal Mafia. Taylor, you must be familiar with this term.
I am, but I really don't know a lot about it.
Okay, which is great because I said, listen, if you are familiar with it, and I know a lot of y'all are, and if you think you know the story, you probably don't. So you should keep
Mhm.
listening because I learned so much going through this. And I actually thought I knew a lot before. And then as I was going into it, I was like, oh, like it all kind of comes together. So
This is I no, I'm super interested. So my daughter Florence is almost 10, but the 3 months that I was out of the office on maternity leave was the 3 months that Venmo became a thing. And I remember coming back to the office and feeling like I was 1,000 years old because everyone was like, "Oh, will you Venmo me?" And I was like, I have never heard that word before. I have been home with my infant for 3 months. And it was just like hilarious. And it was like in that 3 months, it became something that we couldn't live without,
I'm
you know?
gonna I'm gonna actually bring up Venmo.
Nice. I'm gonna use it all the time.
Yeah. Oh
Can't
yeah.
remember what we did
Yeah.
before.
It's like
Yeah.
invaluable.
Yeah.
So to talk about the impact real quickly, just so we have a sense of who these folks are. So to kind of summarize the impact, it is presumed that for the folks who were part of the PayPal mafia, that they essentially funded, founded, or in some way took ownership of businesses that roughly have a market cap of about $2 trillion, which is crazy. And it is assumed, or the math has been assumed that they have been responsible directly or indirectly for creating millions of jobs in the tech sector. And this
Yeah.
all comes from like 19 or so people. It's like insane the impact they've had.
I also think that, I don't know if you're going to mention this, but like my job and your job aren't jobs that I could have grown up wanting to have because I didn't know that they existed. And they
Totally.
didn't exist, you know? So I think
Totally.
that's so interesting too, that you're like, once these companies exist and this exist, then you're creating jobs that didn't exist before, you know?
Okay, Taylor, think about it this way. Think about it this way. So one person who's part of the PayPal mafia was the initial seed investor for Facebook and was being pitched by then the president of Facebook, Sean Parker. Okay.
Hmm.
And then because he was able to secure this $500,000 investment, the company was able to accelerate and grow into becoming a multi-billion-dollar company. And Sean Parker became a multi-billionaire himself and was
Hmm.
able to turn around and invest in the business that our founder founded. You see
I
what I'm saying?
mean,
Like it's all like
no, wild.
connected. So,
I
uh,
laugh, I laugh only because he's nothing like Justin Timberlake, and I don't even like Justin Timberlake. But in person, you're like, I can't believe you got Justin Timberlake to play you in a movie. Great job.
I know he did good for himself.
Really, really great job. Like
Weren't you? What if this was on an elevator with him once? What, were we? Was it you?
we were at a party with him.
We were at a
Remember?
party. I remember the party,
Yeah.
but we were also
I don't
somebody was
know. I
also
don't know if
stuck
I
on
was
an
on
elevator
there
with
with
him
him.
once. Um, Anyways, so suffice to say that most of the way tech companies today think and do building of software, iterating and marketing their businesses, these guys basically invented those concepts that we just
Hmm.
consider like totally normal, which I'm going to get into here in a little bit. So I'm going
Yeah.
to break this series down into three parts. So today's part is going to start with the most obvious thing, which is the conception slash exit of PayPal and who all was involved in that. Part two will be about the rise of the PayPal mafia because really like it's after the exit that they became a thing. And we're going to call out some of the key stakeholders and individuals that are within it. Part three will be about some controversy surrounding them and final thoughts and lessons about what we've learned from what they were able to achieve in the tech sector. So that's kind of
Well,
the layout I have here. But if there's other things folks want to hear, again, write to us at humanflpod@gmail.com. This is a hugely rich topic. Like there's again, it spins in so many different directions, and also I learned that there's a whole host of other kind of mafia types in tech in Silicon Valley too, which could be interesting to cover. But anyways, we'll start with these guys because they have been the most impactful, I think.
mhm.
So I structured it this way because, as the name implies, the PayPal Mafia consists of the founders and early employees of PayPal. So, starting with its history is kind of like an obvious starting point. So, let's get into part one, which is the formation. So, I'm going to do a little bit of a history lesson here, and you definitely should chime in because I bet I'll uncover some old distant memories for you. So, we're hopping into the Wayback Machine to the internet of the late 1990s. So between 1990 and 1997, household ownership of personal computers increased from 15 to 35%. And around the same time in 1993, Mosaic introduced the web browser Netscape, which was the first popular web browser so people can find stuff on the internet. Also, interestingly, the guy who invented Mosaic was the guy who funded the last business that Taylor and I worked at.
That's what I thought. And so I was thinking on this other day. Do you remember that? Have you seen that commercial for um Microsoft Excel from the 80s where they're in the elevator and they quickly make the spreadsheet? Have you ever
No.
seen that? It's like really, it's really crazy. It's like these two dudes, and they're like, we don't have the reports. Business, business, business. What are we gonna do? And then the guy takes out his laptop, which is like, a brick, and he's like making this spreadsheet. And he's like, there's no way you're gonna get it done in time. And it's like 4 lines, but he like, makes it, does like the sum function and changes the font, and everybody's like, oh my God, the boss is gonna love this. And I'm like, what did spreadsheets do before then? You just had to like manually put the numbers in. And that's how I feel about like browsers on the internet, because I'm like, I was not there when before that, and I don't understand.
I don't totally understand either, if I'm being
Like, how did you
honest.
navigate it?
Yeah, I don't understand it. I do remember having to type in file directories to actually
Mm,
find stuff on a computer, but how you could connect to something else on the internet before a browser, I don't actually know how that
yeah.
works. So, but anyways, so Mosaic comes around, Netscape comes around, and all of a sudden, as a result of this, the internet basically develops into this new potential storefront for commerce, which is how we came to know the word e-com. In the days before PayPal existed, let's say you set up an online shop that you wanted to sell products through, your
hmm
options to complete a transaction were of the following. One, you ask the customer to mail you a check or money order.
hmm
That sucks.
That sucks.
You could ask for what's called COD, cash on delivery, which meant that the delivery person would literally take the cash off of you in the moment.
hmm
It's like, again,
Do you
stupid
remember
option.
all the commercials in the 80s? They'd be like, no COD.
Yeah, no
You
COD.
know?
Yeah, totally.
So funny.
Totally.
Yeah.
You had the option of doing a wire transfer, but that would require you to physically go to a bank, pay 35 to $100 fee, and then wait several business days for the transaction to complete. Also sucked. Then there was the more preferable option, which was to pay using a credit card, which I know today, duh, obvious, super easy to do. But the reason it's super easy to do is because Stripe exists. It's because
Right.
a company came about that tied together all the different credit card companies into one payment gateway that you can just copy paste a line of code, embed it onto a website, and now you can process payments yourself. It wasn't like that before. Before, you would have to hire a developer or actually a team of developers to create the forms to tie into banks, and they would have to tie them individually. It was insane. It was
Yeah.
an insane proposition.
I think that there's also like, I don't know if this is true, but didn't like when you used your credit card at like a store and they did the thing where they like did the ch and like took a
Yeah, I
copy
remember
of
that.
it, like didn't someone at the end of the day have to call the credit card company and tell them all the transactions?
That was also a thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was also a thing. Or the other option you had, actually, now that you mentioned that, is you could actually call the company and give them your credit card information in that moment, which, like, none of this is secure. None of this is
Yeah.
like a good way to transact business.
I've definitely still
So
do that, but
you still do that?
I've done that because like when you send a contractor to the Home Depot, that guy will stand in a line and then get to the end of the line, and then someone will call you and be like, "Can this guy buy a bunch of wood on your behalf?" And you say yes and give them your credit card.
It's
It's the,
exceedingly rare. It's
yeah,
exceedingly rare. Yeah.
yeah. That's my only example.
There you go. Yeah. So that was what the internet looked like. So in 1998, three individuals named Max Levchin, Peter Thiel, and Luke Nosek founded a company named FieldLink, which will later be renamed Confinity. And the point of Confinity was to basically create some security software applications for the Palm Pilot, which was the most popular phone at the time. This is how
Hmm
old this shit is.
I
Like,
love that. I'm reading like a dumb mystery novel and they just mentioned a Palm Pilot and I laughed.
I know. I think I had one. Um,
I think one did.
so that was basically going nowhere, and so they decided to pivot into the digital wallet space by creating a product called PayPal. It was a product of Confinity, which launched in 1999. So
Wow.
back then, the value proposition was the user could send and receive money through their email address, and they especially focused on what was becoming the largest e-com website at the time, eBay. So they're really, really hyper focused on doing transactions for eBay customers.
Hmm
So around the same time, again, this stuff's gonna blow your mind, Taylor. Like, I think you're gonna be like pleasantly surprised by how much it's gonna blow your mind. So around the same time that PayPal was launched,
hmm
literally their next door neighbor, next door to Confinity's office, was another young enterprising startup. Let me do this. So
Is it Amazon? Like, is it
no,
just
no.
what is it?
It was, let me tell you this. It was founded by four people, three of which are irrelevant. So it was founded by a guy named Ed Ho, Harris Fricker, Christopher Payne, and Elon Musk. Guess what the name of that company was?
Tesla?
No.
What's the name of the company?
X.com.
Really?
Really,
That's so stupid.
really.
Okay.
So
That's been a long one for him.
it's been a long play
Yeah.
from
Almost
1999 till
almost
today.
kind of excited for him that he got that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was trying to go into like how he ended up having to go back to eBay and PayPal and then buy the domain of his own company off. It's insane. It's
Okay.
insane. So when I refer to X, I'm not referring to Twitter. I'm referring to this business.
That's hilarious.
Anyways, so X's business model was to run financial services online through a particular bank. There was one specific bank in Colorado, I think it was, they were doing all these financial services. I would argue that X was way, way more practical and useful and closer to what we consider online banking today, but on like a much smaller scale. So they provided the portal through which you could do online banking like you would today, and also send money digitally through an email address. So again, we look at your bank online today, and like it's such an obvious, easy thing that you should do. That didn't exist. Like they
I
literally
know.
created that concept.
Everything was so hard.
So hard, so hard.
I
So
can't even imagine.
X actually took off like immediately. It didn't have this weird fit and start thing that Confinity had. Within
Hmm
2 months, it attracted 200,000 users, which is like kind of almost on par with the growth rate of our podcast listenership. Thank you. That was a joke.
Incredible. Incredible.
Um, So Confinity and X realized that they had obvious overlap and an ability to kind of dominate the growing space if they joined forces, which is ultimately what they ended up doing by merging.
hmm
So in March of 2000, the two companies merged and started operating under the brand of PayPal, with Musk
hmm
installed as the CEO.
Wow.
This actually only lasted a few months because he was replaced as CEO while he was on his way to his honeymoon on a plane by Peter Thiel. Like it was a really ugly like replacement. Like, it was not done in a very tactful way.
That
But
sucks.
I did find this story really interesting because it actually shows like who he always kind of was as you see
hmm
what he's doing now. So just as a little background, today, uh, Elon Musk has had a hand in founding, owning, buying, or controlling SpaceX, Tesla, Solar City, OpenAI, Hyperloop, Neuralink, The Boring Company, and Twitter.
What happened
So
to the Hyperloop?
I
They
have
gonna
no
build
idea.
all those like tunnels for cars?
Yeah, the whole idea was to go under LA instead of through the traffic of the 405, but I have no idea what's going on with it.
Hmm.
So this all was going on when he was 29 years old, is when he got replaced as the CEO of then PayPal. But even then, he was also kind of like this scatterbrain focused on 1,000 different things at once.
hmm
The reason for his replacement was because Peter Thiel and a bunch of the other early founders of PayPal, they were like, hey, we should just become exceptionally great at online payments.
hmm
Whereas Musk wanted them to become a full-fledged financial services company, like an online bank,
hmm
essentially. And
hmm
like on the one hand, I can appreciate someone wanting to tackle a hard problem, but on the other hand, the magnitude of what he was trying to do was basically like almost impossible. He was
Yeah.
going to have to basically found a legal company, a regulatory company, an accounting company, a DC-based lobbying firm, and a tech company just for this thing to actually happen.
Yeah.
So there was other issues too. He was also like considered like a gruff and kind of like not a great manager. And he also wanted to migrate platforms at a time that made no sense to the founders. We're like, why are we doing this? So, anyways, that's what happened. Peter Thiel replaced Musk, and Musk ends up staying active, but not operationally active within PayPal. He actually is on the board of directors, but he's off doing his own thing. It was only a year after this that he found SpaceX, which I never knew was that early on.
Is that why SpaceX has the X in it?
Huh?
Is that why SpaceX has the X in it?
What accident?
The X.
Oh, oh my God.
Because he loves the X so much.
My God, Taylor. It probably is. See, I told you learned something new.
I know. Look at this.
Damn. Yeah, it's all. Yeah, it must be because I
It's
also
funny.
read that he was adamant that the merged business should be called X, and then they focus grouped it through some marketers. They're like, everybody thinks it's a porn site, so that's why they dropped it. But
He
yeah,
got
he probably
he
did.
got it.
Yeah, wild,
That's so
wild.
funny.
Um, So Thiel ended up taking the company public in 2002, and about 4 months after he took it public, eBay acquired them for $1.5 billion in eBay stock. This made Musk, who was already rich. Musk had already sold one business off to Compaq. He was already worth like 34 something million dollars. This made him exceptionally richer. I think it came out to somewhere at $165 million was his ownership interest once that sale went through. From then on, PayPal operated independently of eBay and continued to grow until 2014 when it was spun off as its own independent company. And that's when they went on a tear with some acquisitions, acquiring Venmo. So
Hmm.
that's where they ended up. So we're actually going to pause on the story about PayPal there because that's kind of it. From conception to $1.5 billion exit, dude, 4 years. 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But I've already brought up a few members of the PayPal Mafia. So let's do a quick recap of these guys. So Max Levchin, who was the founder and CTO of PayPal, made off with about $34 million from the acquisition. He went on to create a company called Slide, which was a photo sharing technology acquired by Google for $182 million. He was also the very first investor in Yelp. So if you like to share photos, on your camera or on your cell phone, or you like to use Yelp, you can thank this guy.
Hmm.
Luke Nosek, who was also co-founder of PayPal and more focused on the go-to-market activities of the business, he ended up founding a VC firm called Founders Fund, and
Hmm.
his fund was a launchpad for Stripe, Airbnb, Facebook, Spotify, Lyft, Twilio, and like 1,000 other businesses that you don't even know you use because they created some underlying technology that is the foundational technology of the other technology you use.
Right. Totally.
Ed Ho, Harris Fricker, and Christopher Payne, those were the ones that founded X.com with Elon Musk.
Hmm.
They frankly, they just ended up unceremoniously leaving the business due to conflicts with Musk, and they went on to have great careers in tech. But no shade to them, they're not really part of the PayPal mafia. They just ended up going away. It's really interesting because like a couple of these ended up going to Twitter, and then we're at Twitter when Elon Musk came back and bought it. So I
Oh
can't
my God.
imagine
I
what
bet they
that
were
meeting was
like,
like.
Jesus Christ, welcome back,
Not again.
you nerd. Yeah.
So then we have Peter Thiel, who I would argue is the most fascinating member of the PayPal mafia.
Hmm.
I think Elon gets all the press because he's like the uber crazy richest out of all of them, and like is has
Hmm.
his hands in like 5,000 different things. But Peter Thiel's what they consider like they call him the Don of the PayPal mafia. Like he's the central cog that kind of is is the hub through which all these guys are kind of operating on. He was again the Confinity founder who replaced Musk as CEO and was the driving force behind the acquisition with eBay. And he's going to play a huge role in part two of our series when we get to the rise of the PayPal mafia, and highlight some of the most notable members within it. LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman, PayPal mafia.
Wow.
Like it's everybody. It's crazy. It's really interesting because it's these guys and then like Andreessen Horowitz. Like
Yeah.
they own all of it. Dave McClure, he's the founder of 500 Startups, which ended up becoming 500 Global, which launched thousands of other businesses. Also, PayPal Mafia. Like it is crazy once we get into the details of who these guys are and what they do. Now they're super involved in politics. You'll hear a lot about Peter Thiel's involvement in
Hmm.
politics. Heavily supportive of Trump and the Republican Party, as now is Elon Musk and a whole
Hmm.
host of the other folks that are part of that organization, which is like resulting in a really strange party switching that's happening within Silicon Valley because it's not just these guys. Like it's
Yeah.
happening. I don't know for sure, but I get the impression that Zuckerberg is flipping. I get the impression that a lot of those like middle-aged ish billionaire types who were
Hmm.
super progressive are now becoming super conservative, and I'm not entirely sure what the genesis of that is. I don't know if
I don't know
you've
either. No, I know that like my husband has expressed his sorrow when he sees some folks like getting really weird on Twitter, and been like, oh, like you were like a cool thought leader, and now this is like the way you're acting. And like, I don't know if it's like just about the money, where they're like, we don't want to be
I
taxed.
don't think it can be. Here's the thing, like
Like
these
how?
guys, the amount of money they have, it's just astronomical. It was interesting. I told you about the conversation I had earlier this week with somebody, and it's just they live on such a different plane, like it's such a
Hmm.
different level than the rest of us that I don't think that like 2% marginal tax increase versus 5%. Like I don't think they give a shit about that.
Then I don't know what it is. Because like some of the things that I'm seeing like against like Democrats is like, well, oh like okay, so like one of the big things that like pisses me off is when people don't want to give kids free lunch at school. And like one state was like, it'll make them spoiled. And you're like, they're fucking children and they're hungry, like, but how dare you? But one of the arguments is like, well, community organizations do this anyway. They are the ones who solve the problem. And you're like, no, they don't. What are you talking about?
My assumption was I think that might be going a layer deeper than my assumption was. My assumption actually was that they are they built businesses and they build businesses as a matter of like course day to day,
Hmm.
and that democratic policies include regulations and restrictions that make
Hmm.
it almost impossible to like move fast in the way that you'd want to move fast if you're of this industry. It's interesting because totally coincidentally, I was just listening to another one of Ezra Klein's shows. I think he should be sponsored at this point because they keep name dropping his show. Listen to Ezra Klein's show. It's a New York Times podcast. It is awesome, and he's like an amazing interviewer and speaker. Anyways, he was interviewing someone about the $1.7 million toilet in San Francisco.
Hmm.
And again, he comes from like a liberal perspective, but he was like, even I, from my perspective, think this is absolutely ludicrous. And he was interviewing somebody who is studied up on the politics of things that go on with regulatory boards in San Francisco. And what she
Hmm.
was saying was, yeah, because if every special interest has something that is their pet project, and it
Hmm.
becomes in a place where like progressive thinking is like rampant, you want to be as
Hmm.
inclusive as possible. But when you're inclusive as possible, you can't do anything because
Exactly. No, that
everybody's
totally makes
opinion is
sense.
the most valuable. And I think that that's the train of thought that I kind of picked up on with Silicon Valley billionaires is like the ability to run as fast as you want to run becomes inhibited by having to listen to every voice that comes into your purview.
I feel like there are social things that are more important, like
I don't know.
people not having health care and dying,
That's
you
what I'm
know?
getting at. When you bring that up, I'm like, dude, you're talking about people who have so much. They don't understand what you're talking about, Taylor. Like
I know.
they're trying to figure out how to colonize Mars. They don't give a shit about like they don't
I
even
know
know
that's
that not
and
having
that's
lunch is an option.
and that sucks. Like I don't know. I think that sucks. The there was one of our athletes in the Olympics when it was like her whatever was her post was viral because she kept going to the doctor because they get free healthcare when they're there. And they were like, cool. And she was like, cool, can I get all these tests? Can I like do all these things? Like I can't do this at home, you know?
No, you're preaching to the choir. You don't have to tell me that. I literally
No, I
haven't
know.
seen a dentist like 7 years because I literally do not know how to log in to my dental insurance to schedule an appointment with a dentist. Like I don't understand how this stuff works, but anyways, that's my theory on it. I would love to hear
Yeah.
other people's perspective.
Interesting.
Like I said, it's three parts. And if there's other things that you want to know about, this stuff is so fascinating to me. Like I could do this for the next 20 years, and it'll always be interesting. Write to us at doomedoffailpod@gmail.com. Let us know what your thoughts on this stuff is, and I would love to incorporate any of that into the rest of the series. And if you are interested in this kind of topic, I'd be so into doing other versions of this. Like I said, there's the other versions of these groups. Like I mentioned, the founder of Mosaic. Like again, nobody younger than Taylor and I know have even heard of Netscape, even know what the hell Netscape is. But if you
No.
actually go into the weeds on it, there was an antitrust lawsuit. Netscape reshaped antitrust laws and reshaped Microsoft for the first time since Rockefeller had to break up Standard. Like it is
Yeah.
crazy what these things. But
Hmm.
anyways, it's fascinating. So,
It's fascinating. Yeah.
but
And I feel like we talked about like the internet in general before, but like it's just wild how you're like, well, of course we need that.
yeah.
We could not live without that. Like we like get our groceries delivered because we buy them online. Like there's just no amount part of my life that like is not affected by it.
Our jobs. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. This podcasting at all. Like,
I learned that the word podcast came from iPod.
oh, okay, that makes sense.
That's where the pod part comes from, which is hilarious. And like we all had iPods now, they're all in the trash.
I
So
know.
wild.
I know.
There's a mountain of garbage, and it's all iPods and
Yeah.
old phones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Um, anyways, do you have
Exciting.
anything to report out?
I do actually. I have a bunch of stuff, and I'm actually gonna have to like spread it out because we got some like YouTube comments. Oh, hold that thought. That's new to comments. But let me first just tell you that my dad, he texted me, and told you this. Wait, hold on. I made like a whole page to share it with you. But my dad used to work at the Board of Trade in Chicago, when like up in the 80s, and so he knew a lot of people who worked in like he worked in commodities, so people who were like farmers and they traded like cattle and grain and all of those things. But one of his customers was a farmer who died in his grain silo. He said that he was like accidentally in it and then the door opened and he got smothered.
So terrifying. So
Unbelievable.
absolutely terrifying.
My dad said, I listened to a recent podcast, had a farm customer in the early 90s, talked to him, and a couple days later, his wife called to close the account. He was smothered in a grain storage unit on the farm. Wild.
Yeah. In terms of ways to go, that ranks as one of the worst.
Yeah, absolutely terrible. Um, but then also, I just wanted to announce our new initiative that you didn't know about until I did it. Our found footage on YouTube.
This is also terrifying. So what Taylor's doing now is she found some footage, some old vintage 8 millimeter reels in her house that is obviously haunted, and she watched them or got them digitized and then uploads them to like music that you can kind of just like have in the background listening. You've
They're kind of
seen
fun.
Sinister. I don't get why you
No, I know.
thought
Well,
this.
so I know. So I moved into this house, I don't know, 9 years ago, and they were in the back of the pantry on like the top shelf. And I'll take a picture of them. They're just like real to real things. And I've always wanted to watch them, and I kept them. And then our friend Jay, who loves horror movies, they came over one weekend, and I really wanted to watch it with them, like because of Sinister. I thought like our favorite guesses were a murder, homemade porn, or the Kennedy assassination. There's none of those. It's just like a lovely family trips. And there's like and one of them that I put in, there's like houses that are destroyed by a hurricane. There's an anniversary party. There's snow. There's a dog. They have like a cute little poodle. Um, so they're really fun. And so I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get to watch these. And then I found a place called Legacy Box online. And I was like, they had like a 50% off sale, but I was like, it still would be like $100. But I was like, I don't know, maybe I'll do it. And then I went in and did it. And I have one of those things that automatically puts coupons in. And I found a 100% off coupon. So I got them for free.
That is awesome.
It was awesome. And then so then I downloaded them and there's 11 of them. One of them is all of I don't know who it is. It's like so the people who lived in this house were from Pennsylvania, so it's probably like their family. It's from the 1960s. And but one of them is just holidays and it has like Halloween and it does have like really weird, creepy 60s kids Halloween costumes. So that one's fun.
Um, you should. It might be fun to look up like the property records and find out who owned the house, and then like send them links.
Yeah, I mean I know who owned my house. Only one other person owned my house.
Seriously?
Yeah,
It's
they
like
built this
60
house.
years old, isn't it?
No, it's from 1987.
Oh, I thought it was seriously?
Mhm.
Wow, okay.
They built it. I have the plans that they signed off on framed in the hallway.
You know what?
They just used to
I just literally it didn't occur to me that if the footage is from the 60s, the house might not be from the 60s.
Yeah, no, the footage is not from here. The footage is definitely from the East Coast and like travels around.
Right.
So I have two of them up right now. They're on our YouTube channel. And there's just like a half hour of like nice stuff. And we did get a comment on them that was like, I love watching found footage. Thank you. Like it's just fun to like see someone else's life. And I was thinking about that the other weekend. Like I was looking at pictures at my mom's house from my childhood, and I love like the background details. Like, oh, I remember that wallpaper and I remember that picture and like blah blah blah. So it's kind of fun.
Thank you for doing that. I think that was
Yeah.
a really, really cool idea.
I
And
want to put them somewhere. Yeah.
I did let it run. I was telling Taylor, it reminds me of like that Netflix channel where it's just like a crackling fireplace. It's
Hmm.
just you let it run and like the music's lovely, the footage is lovely. I'm just waiting
Nice.
for like a devil to like
Me
pop
too.
out.
Me too. Me too. There was one where there were some people kissing, and I was like, "Ooh, is it happening?" And it's like someone was recording all my children. Like it's like it's I don't know, it's super fun. So yeah,
Yo, is it happening? Just like,
I was like, "Is this homemade porn? What is happening?" But
I
no,
mean, you can find that elsewhere.
no, I don't know that. Wouldn't it be cool to find it in your house?
Yes, yes, it would.
Yeah, maybe I'll watch Sinister later. So
Very
scary.
cool.
Yeah, so that's my updates. Thank you, Dad, for listening. And I will, yeah, if you have any questions or ideas for us, we're at doomtofailpod@gmail.com, at doomtofail on all the social media and YouTube.
Sweet. We'll rejoin y'all in a few days. Thanks, Taylor.
Thanks, guys.